3 days before the wedding, my fiancée said she was pregnant with my assistant's child. My childhood sweetheart's family went bankrupt and owed tens of millions of dollars. She cried and begged me for help. I dropped out of school and sold alcohol, tested drugs, sold blood. I tried every way to help her pay off her debts. In the third year after she graduated, I proposed to her successfully. I thought that all the hard work had paid off, but 3 days before the wedding, I heard her say to her bestie, Lin Feng is almost 30 years old, and I'm only 25. If I marry him, my life will be over at a glance. And the money he used to help me pay off my debt seemed to be earned by selling his body. I'm afraid he has that disease. Besides, I'm pregnant with Yu's child. Chapter 1 No one loves her more than me. Chapter 1 No one loves her more than me. My childhood sweetheart's family went bankrupt and owed tens of millions of dollars. She cried and begged me for help. I dropped out of school and sold alcohol, tested drugs, sold blood. I tried every way to help her pay off her debts. In the third year after she graduated, I proposed to her successfully. I thought that all the hard work had paid off, but 3 days before the wedding, I heard her say to her bestie, Lin Feng is almost 30 years old, and I'm only 25. If I marry him, my life will end at a glance. And the money he used to pay off my debt seems to have been earned by selling his body. I'm afraid he has that kind of disease. Besides, I'm pregnant with a Yu's child. When I heard Xue say these words, I was getting up in a daze and preparing to go to the bathroom. Our wedding date is approaching. I got together with friends today. I was happy and drank a little more at once. I was originally drunk and a little unstable. Suddenly hearing these words, I sobered up a lot in an instant. I staggered and fell on the bed, with an unbearable pain in my heart and a splitting headache. I never thought that Xue would betray me and get pregnant with another man's child. Everyone in the world can betray me, but Xue can't. At the beginning, the Shen family's business failed and went bankrupt, owing tens of millions of debts. Shen's father couldn't bear the blow and jumped off the building and died, and Shen's mother was bedridden. This debt of tens of millions fell on Xue, who had just reached adulthood. Xue ran to me and asked me to help pay off the debt together, but I was still a sophomore at the time. How could I come up with so much money? Xue burst into tears, but you are the only person I can find. If even you can't help me, then I have no choice but to die. I couldn't bear to see her being harassed by debts every day and crying, so I agreed. I dropped out of school, sold alcohol in clubs, sold blood in hospitals, tried new drugs that had not been clinically tested for research institutes, and even almost sold one of my kidneys. I have done all kinds of jobs that can make quick money. Because of trying new drugs, my hair fell out in clumps, and I also had a root of disease in my body. As long as I exercised strongly, I would feel dizzy and my heart would hurt. Because I drank too much when selling alcohol, I drank so much that my stomach bled. As long as I didn't eat on time, my stomach would start to ache. The pain from time to time always reminds me of that difficult period. I worked hard for 5 years and finally helped Xue pay off her debts. That day, Xue hugged me gratefully. Lin Feng, thank you, I will marry you after I graduate from college. For a while, I was more excited than Xue. Because I have liked her for many years, marrying Xue is worth all these years of hard work. I have been waiting for the day she graduated, but after graduation, she said she wanted to start a business. Lin Feng, I think women should have their own careers. Just wait for me. When I succeed in starting a business, you won't have to work all the time. I'll support you then. I didn't agree at first, because I thought she could still start a business even if we got married, and I could even help her with many things. After all, I taught myself programming and video editing, and I have some talent, so my income is okay. But because Xue insisted, I knew she was desperate to make more money because her family was bankrupt and she felt safe. She also had her own ambition. Under Xue's gentle words, I not only didn't stop her, but also took out all my savings to support her in starting a business. After all, she was fighting for our future. In the third year after she graduated, the company was doing well. I thought the time was right, so I proposed to her. Although she left early due to an accident, she agreed. The wedding date was set soon, just 3 days later. But now I know such a cruel reality. I can't help but doubt, does Xue really have feelings for me? If there is any, she shouldn't treat me like this. When I stood up and was about to go out to question Tingxue why she betrayed me, her best friend Jiang Wanning's voice suddenly rang out. Tingxue, how can you think like this? You and Lin Feng have been in love for many years, and he is the one who would even give up his life for you. He gave you his life, but what about Chen Boyu? You have only known him for 3 months, and the child was conceived accidentally. Just abort it. There is no need to break up with Lin Feng for a little assistant. I tell you, no one in this world loves you more than Lin Feng. You will regret it if you give up on him now. Chapter 2. When did she change? Chapter 2. When did she change? I paused holding the door handle. A glimmer of hope rose in my heart, and I looked forward to Tingxue's answer. Jiang Wanning has said this, and normal people should choose me. But Tingxue disappointed me again. I have thought about it seriously. In fact, I don't love Lin Feng at all. I just feel sorry for him. I'm afraid that if I don't want him, no one will want him. After all, you know his situation. He lacks love. The fingers on the door handle slipped off instantly, and I leaned against the wall weakly, barely supporting my body and not letting myself fall down. But the pain from my heart made me almost breathless. The memories that were suppressed in the deepest part came like a tide. I was born in a poor mountain village. Both my parents died, and I grew up eating food from hundreds of families. After completing 9 years of compulsory education, I faced the dilemma of not being able to continue school, but there is always a way out. A college student who came to the village to teach posted my situation online, and the 2 elders of the Shen family immediately decided to sponsor me to continue my studies. They took me to the Shen family. Although the memory is long, I still remember clearly the shock and uneasiness when I first saw the tall buildings in the big city. I took the train for several days to come here. My clothes were very dirty and I was covered in dust. Passers-by looked at me with disgust. It was Tingxue who came up and held my hand without any disgust. My name is Tingxue, you can call me Xue, what about you? Tingxue had long hair and a white dress, and was as beautiful as a princess. I was a little nervous and wanted to pull my hand back. My name is Lin Feng. Tingxue held my hand tightly and smiled like an angel. Lin Feng, a nice name, don't be nervous, this will be your home in the future. Tingxue took me to familiarize myself with the surrounding environment, helped me buy clothes, matched them for me personally, and patiently taught me how to use a smartphone. Even when I was insulted and ridiculed as a bumpkin, she stood up for me and refuted that group of people. She stood on tiptoe, clamped her arms around my neck, and raised her chin proudly and confidently. Don't worry, I will protect you in the future, and no one will dare to bully you again. My first summer vacation at the Shen family, I stayed with Tingxue every day for a few days, and we had a great time. That night, when we lay on the lawn and watched the stars, I made a promise to her. Xue, I will study hard in the future, make a lot of money, and work hard to be worthy of you. When the time comes, will you be willing to be my most beautiful bride? Tingxue answered without hesitation, of course I am willing, then we have a deal, I'll wait for you. Okay? That summer, she clearly agreed, and I did as promised, but why did she treat me like this? When did she start to change? I couldn't figure it out. At this time, a quick ringtone rang, interrupting my thoughts. I came back to my senses. Tingxue had already answered the phone, and in order to let Jiang Wanning hear clearly, she directly turned on the speaker. Mr. Shen, I know you are pregnant. It was Chen Boyu's voice. After he finished speaking, both ends of the phone fell silent tacitly, as if waiting for the other party to speak first. After a while, Chen Boyu spoke again, as if he had made some kind of firm determination. I will be responsible, but if you still insist on marrying Lin Feng, I am willing to help you. Mr. Shen, I really love you, but I respect every decision you make. Don't worry, I don't want you to give me an answer now, you can think about it slowly, I'll wait for you. Tingxue responded softly and then hung up the phone. Chapter 3. Let's have a good chat. Chapter 3. Let's have a good chat. Jiang Wanning has been persuading her to choose me. The more Jiang Wanning said, the more nervous I became. Finally, Tingxue took a deep breath and made up her mind. I've thought it through. I'm going to make it clear to Lin Feng. I don't love him. A Yu is the one I really like. I will give him a name. After all, the child in my belly can't be without a father. Hearing this, I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes. I was finally disappointed. Jiang Wanning sighed, forget it, I can't persuade you anymore. You should think about it seriously tonight and don't do stupid things. It's getting late. I'll go back first. After Jiang Wanning left, Shintingxue went straight back to their master bedroom to sleep. The door closed, but I couldn't help but smile bitterly. Even on the night of the successful proposal, we drank a little wine and kissed passionately, but in the end Shintingxue stopped. She didn't even want to sleep in the same bedroom with me. I thought she was just being conservative and wanted to save her first time for the wedding night. I respected her ideas and never crossed the line, but she got pregnant with Chen Boyu's child. Now, I know that she is not just being conservative, she just doesn't want to have sex with me. At this moment, I suddenly believed that Shintingxue really didn't love me. Then what have I been all these years? A joke. I went to the bathroom and came back, lying on the bed, thinking a lot in my mind, and finally the alcohol got to my head again, and I fell asleep. I thought I would oversleep, but when I woke up, the time was about the same as usual. I sighed, this biological clock is really fixed, sometimes I can't use oversleeping as an excuse. After washing up, I went to the kitchen to find something to eat. Shintingxue suddenly opened the door and came out. Seeing the empty table, she frowned. You didn't make breakfast. I usually make breakfast, Shintingxue has long been accustomed to it. Seeing that there is no breakfast on the table, she seems a little dissatisfied. I watched her expression calmly and just found it funny. Once people take it for granted, it's really terrible. I chewed the bread calmly and said, I drank too much yesterday and didn't have the energy to cook. Oh, by the way, I have a headache and can't drive. I won't take you to the company today. After knowing those things last night, I don't want to make these meaningless efforts anymore. Anyway, no matter how good I am, Shintingxue can't see it. Shintingxue frowned and was about to say something when my phone rang suddenly. She walked away unhappily. I looked down and saw that it was a call from the wedding company. I picked up the phone and the other party asked me some details of the wedding arrangement enthusiastically. Only one step away, Shintingxue and I will be married. I decided everything at the wedding. I suddenly felt reluctant to leave the wedding. I didn't hear what the other party said at all. I asked him to send me a text and then hung up the phone. I walked to Shintingxue and sat down. I decided to give her another chance. I accidentally heard what you said to Jiang Wanning last night. As soon as I opened my mouth, Shintingxue looked up at me in shock, then you. Xiaoxue, let's have a good chat. I tried to stay calm and continued, even if I made quick money in those years, I never slept with anyone. I have a physical examination every year, and the results show that my body is very healthy and I don't have any infectious diseases. You can rest assured about this. I think if we have a frank chat, there may be a chance. After all, it's the person I have loved for more than 10 years. How can I bear to let go of her hand like this? Chapter for our engagement is cancelled. Chapter for our engagement is cancelled. Shintingxue looked at me and obviously didn't believe me. Stop lying. How can a man live to the age of 30 and never have sex once? There was a hint of sarcasm in her tone. Once she was sure that I had slept with someone else, it would be difficult for me to change her mind. Although this matter is not the most important, I still can't help feeling bitter. I suppressed my emotions and continued, I'm not important. Tell me about your situation. If you are willing to abort the baby in your belly and transfer Chen Boyu out of the company, I can pretend that nothing happened and continue our wedding. I paused and said solemnly, after all, I promised your father that I would take good care of you and make you happy for the rest of my life. Shintingxue touched her still flat belly and said firmly, I'm sorry, you can't give me the happiness I want. I was stunned and immediately understood what she meant. She thought about it all night and finally chose Chen Boyu. Although I knew the result a long time ago, I still felt unwilling to accept it. I'll ask you again, do you really not regret breaking off the engagement with me? Shintingxue sneered, if I marry you, I will really regret it. These words were like a knife, piercing my heart accurately, and the pain was so severe that I almost couldn't recover. I couldn't stop laughing, and nodded despite the pain in my heart. Okay, as you wish, our engagement is annulled. After saying that, I picked up my phone and prepared to leave, but Shintingxue suddenly grabbed me. Wait, there's one more thing. I was forced to sit back down again. Anything else? Shintingxue took a deep breath and said, you should also know that a girl's reputation is very important, let alone someone like me. Our wedding is in 3 days and the invitations have been sent out. If we cancel it now, we will be gossiped about. So can you tell everyone that it was you who fell in love with someone else and insisted on cancelling the engagement? Please, just treat it as the last thing you do for me. From now on, we owe each other nothing. I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I heard. What did you say? It was obviously she who cheated first, but in the end she wants me to take the blame. Why? I have been holding back my anger all night, and finally at this moment broke out. I stood up and said coldly, impossible. I can't promise you this. You are not a child anymore. You are responsible for the trouble you caused. I don't have the time to clean up your mess all the time. Lin Feng, don't forget that it is our Shen family who helped you to be where you are today. I just asked you to do a small thing, but you were still reluctant. I couldn't help but laugh. Reputation is a very important matter, so how come it becomes a trivial matter in her mouth? In the beginning, it was indeed me who owed the Shen family, but after so many years, I have long since repaid what I owed the Shen family. Now, she owes me. The last thing she should do is to use her kindness to coerce me. My tone instantly turned cold. Xiaoxue, I paid back tens of millions for you and almost lost my life. Do you think your Shen family has given me so much? Shintingxue was stunned for a moment, and a hint of guilt flashed in her eyes. It seemed that she also knew that the Shen family owed me now. She thought about it and straightened her back again. How about this? I'll give you 1 million and you just post it on WeChat Moments. Spending 1 million to buy a circle of friends is indeed a good deal. Chapter 5. If you want flowers, pick them up from the trash can. Chapter 5. If you want flowers, pick them up from the trash can. I couldn't help but sneer. If it weren't for my help, how could your company be successfully developed and expanded? Now that you have some money, you use it to bribe me. Do you still have the heart? Besides, I don't need this money. In the past, I had always responded to Shintingxue's requests and doted on her to the extreme, and had never rejected her like this. Her face looked a little ugly, and she was about to get angry when Chen Boyu suddenly called her. Shintingxue glanced at me and answered the phone in front of me. The living room was so quiet that I could even hear Chen Boyu's slightly pitiful voice. Mr. Shen, I accidentally hurt my hand while cooking this morning. Can you? Before Chen Boyu could finish his words, Shintingxue interrupted him with a nervous look on his face. What? Are you hurt? Are you home now? Stay there and don't move. I'll come find you. After Shintingxue hung up the phone, she picked up her bag and went out. As she was changing her shoes at the entrance, she said to me, "We haven't finished talking yet. We'll talk when I come back." After saying that, she left in a hurry. I looked at her back as she left without hesitation, and my heart. I sunk to the bottom and finally lost my heart. I made myself a bowl of sobering soup, and when I finished drinking it, I received the photos sent by Chen Boyu. In the photo, Shintingxue was holding his hand gently, carefully helping him treat the wound on his hand that was almost healed. I enlarged the photo and saw that it was just a small cut on his finger. I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't take this kind of provocative behavior seriously at all, but Shintingxue's behavior really disappointed me. At the beginning of the year, something went wrong at the new product launch conference. In order to protect Shintingxue, I was hit by a heavy object and my arm was directly fractured. I stayed in the hospital for quite a while, but Shintingxue only visited me a few times. She always uses being busy as an excuse and doesn't have time to come to the hospital, and I don't want to put pressure on her. But now, Chen Boyu, a grown man, only had a small scratch on his finger, but she ran over nervously to show concern for him. It seems that they are truly loved. I suddenly realized this fact, but I couldn't stop feeling sad. I drove to the company, told myself not to think about anything, and tried to numb myself with work. Near the end of get off work, I received a bouquet of roses, but the name on them was not mine. My colleagues next to me didn't know what was going on, and started making a fuss when they saw me holding the bouquet of roses. Manager Lin, this is what Mr. Shen bought for you, right? You two are so in love. You are about to get married and you are still playing such romantic tricks. What do you know? This young couple is at the peak of their affection. I looked at the name above and for a moment all I could do was smile bitterly. There was a knock on the office door and Chen Boyu walked in. He looked at the rose in my arms and spoke with a scent of green tea. I'm sorry, Manager Lin, these flowers were given to me by Mr. Shen, but they were misplaced by the secretary. He held out his hand to me. Now, can you give me back the flowers? The people around us were talking about it, and they looked at us with more curiosity. I looked at him, smiled disdainfully, and immediately threw the rose in my hand into the trash can. If you want roses, pick them up from the trash can. Chen Boyu's eyes widened suddenly, and he grabbed me as I was about to leave work and said, "Why did you throw my things? You are not allowed to leave. You must give me an explanation today." Chapter 6 I Don't Want Anything. Chapter 6 I Don't Want Anything. I looked at him expressionlessly. "Your things occupy my territory, so I have the right to deal with them directly." "You?" Chen Boyu was so angry that his face turned green. "Okay, wait for me, these flowers were bought by President Shen, I'll ask her to come over." "I just don't believe that Ms. Shen would tolerate you throwing her things." Chen Boyu blocked the door and wouldn't let me leave, and forced Shen Tingxue to come over. After listening to Chen Boyu's story, Shen Tingxue looked straight at me with a cold tone. "Lin Feng, you are too unscrupulous. You dare to throw my things. Pick them up." I looked at her with the same indifference. Why would I pick up something that's not mine? Shen Tingxue's expression looked a little ugly, and she seemed to be angry as well. She suddenly said, "Okay, if that's the case, let Ayu take charge of the Chengdong project you're in charge of. Also, go back and hand in your resignation today. Now that we have come to this point, it is better for us not to be in the same company to avoid suspicion." Shen Tingxue held Chen Boyu's hand, raised her head, and looked at him affectionately, "And I don't want you to misunderstand. I watched them being affectionate with each other, and I felt like a clown. I'm obviously extremely disappointed with Shen Tingxue, so why is my heart still aching so much?" I hid the emotions in my eyes and smiled. "Okay, I will send you my resignation letter today." After saying that, I walked right past the two of them and went home. I quickly edited my resignation letter and sent it to Shen Tingxue's email, and she quickly agreed. I looked at the screen and couldn't help laughing. She was staring at the computer, probably eager to kick me out of the company. My heart finally turned cold at this moment. That day, Shen Tingxue did not return home all night, and I did not send her any messages. The next day, I went to the company and prepared to pack my things, but found that all my things had been thrown into the trash can. Among them is a figurine that I cherish very much. It was the gift that Shen Tingxue gave me for my 18th birthday. Even if Shen Tingxue and I are not destined to be together, the things she gave me are not something an outsider should be able to take. I could roughly guess who threw it, and when I was about to question him, the other party appeared. Chen Boyu leaned against the door frame, raised his chin, and said proudly, "I am a good person to the end. I have helped you clean up all your things. You don't have to thank me." I looked down at the garbage. The figurine that was turned out of the bucket looked up at him. "So you threw this too?" Chen Boyu raised his eyebrows proudly. "What else?" My eyes darkened. I put down the figure, walked straight towards Chen Boyu, and punched him in the face without hesitation. Chen Boyu staggered back a few steps. I chased him and prepared to attack him again, but he was so scared that he quickly ran to Shen Tingxue's office. Shen Tingxue came out to protect him, and without saying anything else, she lost her temper at me. "Lin Feng, this is the company, not a place for you to go crazy." I watched her protecting Chen Boyu behind her, and her nervousness made me want to laugh. But as I laughed, a sour feeling came up in my throat. I don't want any of those action figures or anything else. I turned around and left, and met up with some friends to go to the bar. By the way, I posted a circle of friends on the way. Our relationship has broken down. In the future, I will walk my own path and she will walk her own path. I hope we will never cross paths again. I wish you a happy future. Shen Tingxue and I have had close circles of friends for a long time, so when this news came out, it quickly spread to many people. They all asked in shock, "What's going on? Aren't we getting married? Brother Lin, are you kidding me? You two have been together for 10 years. Chapter 7 Will you marry me? Chapter 7 Will you marry me?" There were dozens of inquiries, and many people came to me privately to ask me whether this was true. I turned off my phone and didn't reply, just focusing on the liquor shaking in the glass in front of me. In the noisy bar, several of my good brothers couldn't help but stand up for me. "Who is that Shen Tingxue? It's better not to get married. You can shine alone. If you ask me, she is a ruthless person. It's not worth it for Afeng to do so much for her. She almost lost her life back then." Someone came over and grabbed my glass. "Hey, drink less, have you forgotten how fragile your stomach is? If you really want to end up in the hospital because of a cheating girl like Shen Tingxue who sleeps with every man she sees, I won't care about you. Hearing this, I couldn't help but frown. I can understand why my brothers are speaking up for me and criticizing Shen Tingxue. Even though Shen Tingxue had many faults, the insult was indeed a bit too much. I was just about to stop them when a female voice from the next booth interrupted me. What nonsense are you talking about? Be more polite and don't say such dirty words. The light was dim, I opened my eyes and looked. It took me 2 seconds to recognize that it was Shen Tingxue's best friend Jiang Wan. Lemon. Jiang Wanning came over angrily, pointed at my group of brothers and started to refute and speak for Shen Tingxue. What right do you have to spread obscene rumors about others? Do you think the person involved can't hear you and won't sue you, so you dare to speak so loudly? Tingxue was not like this at the beginning. She just encountered too many difficulties in the process of starting her business. Don't you know that Chen Boyu is the young master of the Chen group? Tingxue kept him by her side just to take advantage of the Chen family's influence. She doesn't like him at all. And having sex with Chen Boyu was purely an accident. You dare to do this without knowing anything. Zhang Cheng, my closest brother, stood up, interrupted her and argued for me. We don't know anything, but tell me, is it true that Shen Tingxue cheated on her husband? She personally agreed to Brother Feng's proposal, and she also cheated on Brother Feng with her own hands. Brother Feng gave her a chance, but she rejected it herself. We are unhappy, so what's wrong with cursing a few times? Jiang Wanning was speechless for a moment. After all, Shen Tingxue's cheating was a fact and she couldn't deny it. She forced herself to say, do you have to say it so harshly? Jiang Wanning and a few of my brothers were quarreling, and it gave me a headache. I wanted to stop them but I couldn't get a word in. I just drank my fill and stopped getting involved in their quarrel. I was drinking and looking at my phone, and suddenly I found that someone had posted a message about me being maliciously fired. And Shen Tingxue posted a statement from a live interview on the company's official blog a few minutes ago. She turned the tables and accused me of cheating on her and that she was heartbroken by me, so she wanted me to quit. All the news about bosses suppressing their subordinates was untrue. In an instant, the blood surged in my body, and I stood up by slamming the table. The quarrels around me also stopped because of my sudden slap. Several people looked at me in bewilderment. Zhang Cheng asked, Brother Feng, what's wrong with you? I just threw the phone to him and let him look at it himself. Zhang Cheng played the sound directly so that everyone around him could hear it clearly. My group of friends cursed even more fiercely. Jiang Wanning, who had just tried hard to defend Shen Tingxue, looked a little unhappy. Perhaps she didn't expect that the person she was arguing with was such a person. Jiang Wanning's face was pale and she was obviously disappointed. She wanted to leave, but I stopped her in time and asked directly, do you want to marry me? Chapter 8 Never let her do anything. Chapter 8 Never let her do anything. Jiang Wanning was confused. What did you say? I directly exposed her thoughts. You like me, right? Jiang Wanning was stunned and her face turned red, but she didn't refute for a long time. Not answering means acquiescence. The expression of liking someone is so obvious. I saw Jiang Wanning's eyes light up every time she saw me, and her every heart-pounding yet restrained move. It's just that the person I like has always been Shen Tingxue, so I can't respond, so I just pretend not to see it. Since Shen Tingxue is unkind, don't blame me for being unfair. I looked at Jiang Wanning's blank face and said seriously, although I can't fall in love with you in the short term, I will try my best to be a good husband and respect and protect you. Will you marry me? Jiang Wanning is very smart, and I believe she can understand why I do this. Shen Tingxue said that I cheated on her, but she didn't cancel the wedding, which proves that the wedding will still go on. And changing the bride at the wedding is my revenge on Shen Tingxue. Jiang Wanning was silent, unable to make a decision for a moment. After a moment of silence, I slowly calmed down and realized how impulsive I was just now. I was only concerned with my own revenge, but I forgot how much trouble such words would put Jiang Wanning in. After all, she and Shen Tingxue have been good friends for many years. I sighed and said, if you value your friendship with Shen Tingxue more, then just pretend I never said anything. I will find another bride. Anyway, I will carry out this revenge to the end. I picked up the wine glass and drank it all. When I was thinking about who to find to play the bride, Jiang Wanning suddenly spoke through gritted teeth. Okay, I promise you. Everyone present was stunned, including me. Jiang was the first to react and clapped his hands to congratulate. "Oh, congratulations to Brother Feng and Ms. Jiang Wanning on their marriage, may you stay together forever." The people around me started to make a fuss and pushed me next to Jiang Wanning. Jiang said, "Sister-in-law, Brother Feng drank too much tonight, please take him home." Jiang Wanning looked at me hesitantly, and I knew that this matter was decided suddenly, and there were some things we should talk about in private. I didn't refuse and put my arm around Jiang Wanning's shoulder. "Please take me home." Jiang Wanning glanced at me, grabbed my hand and pulled me out of the bar. She hadn't drunk yet, so she drove. "I'm going back." I didn't want to go back to the wedding room that Shinting and I shared, so I searched for a hotel on my phone and asked Jiang Wanning to take me there. After arriving at the hotel, I thought that after I had explained everything clearly, I could let Jiang Wanning go back. Just as I was about to speak, Jiang Wanning said, "You've drunk too much. Lie down for a while. It won't be too late to talk about some things tomorrow when you're sober." She helped me unbutton my coat, helped me to rest on the bed, and opened a bottle of mineral water and handed it to me. "Drink some water, you'll feel better." I stared at her as she held the mineral water bottle with her slender fingers and opened her mouth to take a few sips. The tasteless water slid down my throat and went straight to my stomach, but it instantly made my mood complicated. Because Jiang Wanning's subconscious little action made me realize the difference between love and not love. I love Shinting, so naturally I am willing to do everything for her, but Shinting does not have the same attitude towards me. She never took care of me, not even by giving me a simple glass of water when I wasn't feeling well. I treated Shinting like a young lady, always holding her in the palm of my hand and never asking her to do anything. Even if I have been working overtime for 2 days and 2 nights, I will prepare dinner for her before going to bed. Chapter 9 How Can This Work? Chapter 9 How Can This Work? Shinting always seemed to think that these were what I should do, and never even said thank you or thank you for my hard work. Jiang Wanning is the daughter of the Jiang group and the most beloved youngest daughter of the Jiang family. Unlike Shinting, she did not suffer in the middle of her life, but now she can take care of me in an orderly manner. It turns out that it's not that rich people don't know how to take care of others. To put it bluntly, it's the difference between having me in their hearts and not having me in their hearts. I stared at the ceiling in a daze, feeling bitter in my heart. Jiang Wanning didn't seem to notice anything unusual about me. After putting the mineral water aside, she said, "I'll go get a towel and wipe it for you." When she came over with a towel, I closed my eyes tiredly. I clearly felt Jiang Wanning hesitate for a moment, but then she came forward and unbuttoned the first few buttons of my shirt. She took a towel and wiped my neck carefully, using gentle movements. I could feel how much she cherished me. My heart moved and my Adam's apple rolled, but I couldn't help but open my eyes. Jiang Wanning bent over and lowered her head, very close to me, her warm breath sprayed on the tip of my nose, and a light and pleasant fragrance went straight into my nose. I blinked, my eyes. It kept falling on her rosy lips. At the same time, she lowered her eyes and looked at me, and when I raised my eyes, my gaze met hers. I don't know if it was the effect of the alcohol, but I suddenly felt my body getting hot, and an ambiguous atmosphere spread between the two of us. Jiang Wanning suddenly approached me. I thought she wanted to kiss me, so I didn't try to hide and just went straight towards her. Unexpectedly, she walked straight past me, wiped the towel behind my ears, and finally stood up. She stood by the bed, looking down at me, but without any arrogance. Jiang Wanning said calmly, "I don't want to kiss a drunk man without knowing the truth. I hope you will give it to me when you really fall in love with me." I was a little surprised by her idea, but I couldn't help but feel a little more admiration in my heart. I nodded and smiled. "Okay, I'll do as you say." After Jiang Wanning wiped my body, she went back without doing anything out of the ordinary. After she left, I fell asleep with a dizzy head. When I woke up again, it was already light outside, and the alarm clock beside the bed was still ringing. I was a little annoyed by the noise, and without even having time to look at who was calling, I answered the call directly and put it to my ear. As soon as the call was connected, Shinting anxious voice came over. "Lin Feng, where are you? Come to the company quickly, there is a problem with the program. Now the entire company's system is paralyzed and cannot be used. This system was developed by you, so you must know how to deal with it." When I heard Shinting voice, I suddenly became much more sober. I said casually, "Boss Shin, have you forgotten? I have resigned now." Let alone a system crash. Even if the company goes bankrupt, it has nothing to do with a junior employee like me who has already left the company. Chen Boyu is in charge of these matters now. You should ask him to resolve them. I was not surprised at all that the system crashed, because this was a trap I deliberately left for Chen Boyu, and it was also a test for him. You know, sometimes it only takes a small bug to cause the entire huge system to crash. In fact, it's not a big problem for me to stay. As long as Chen Boyu knows a little programming knowledge, he can find a solution. He wants to take over my position, but he doesn't have the abilities to match the position. How can this be possible? Shintingxue was so anxious that she turned around and around. If Ayu knew how, he would have solved it long ago. Stop talking nonsense and go back to the company. Chapter 10. I really can't afford to delay. Chapter 10. We can't afford to delay. I raised my eyebrows in understanding. It turned out that he couldn't even do such a simple thing. Isn't he just a fool? There is no way I would waste my precious sleeping time on an idiot like Chen Boyu. I hung up the phone immediately, blocked and deleted the person, turned my phone to silent mode, and fell asleep again. I was sleeping soundly when someone suddenly knocked on my hotel room door. I opened my eyes impatiently, climbed out of bed and opened the door. When I woke up with a lot of anger and wanted to curse someone, I found that the person standing at the door was Shintingxue. I frowned, not understanding why she was here. Hours have passed, and the problem with that broken program hasn't been solved yet. Shintingxue pushed me aside and walked directly into the room. She stood in the middle of the room and looked at me. Lin Feng, stop making trouble and come back with me. I laughed, half leaning against the door, and said sarcastically, is Mr. Shin too confident in himself? Shintingxue sighed and said to me earnestly, you still own 1% of the company. If the company goes bankrupt, you won't get any benefits. Hearing this, I just find it ridiculous. If the one-person limited liability company had not gone bankrupt, the shareholder would have been held fully responsible and had to repay all debts. Shintingxue would never have given me the 1% share. Doesn't she just want to drag me to share the responsibility, but doesn't he want to give me too much? I liked her before and I didn't care about these things, but not now. I said with a cold face, I don't want it anymore. You can give that little share to whoever you want. I don't want it anymore. That 1% seems like a joke no matter how you look at it. Shintingxue obviously wanted to explode, but she forced herself to hold it back. I was too lazy to pay attention to her, so I just lay down on the bed and prepared to continue sleeping. She likes staying here, so let her stay here, just don't disturb my sleep. My head still hurts. Shintingxue stood by the bed and looked at me, and suddenly asked, are you angry because of the interview last night? The company has finally started to improve, and I am worried that the news will have a negative impact on the company. I just said that in the heat of the moment. Please don't be angry. Can you forgive me? This really made me laugh. She pushed me directly when she was hot-headed. Go out and block the arrows. She can sacrifice me for the company, and come back to speak softly to me for the company. In the final analysis, it is not because I am so important, but because I still have value to her. This realization chilled my heart and I laughed bitterly for a moment. I didn't say anything, just looked at her expressionlessly. Shintingxue felt a little unsure after seeing what I was doing, so she put forward further conditions. I know you're still angry. How about this? I can make a public announcement that you didn't cheat on me. We can just part ways amicably. It just takes a week. Hearing this, I sneered. A week later. What else is there to say after a week? I've already become a laughingstock. Shintingxue, have you forgotten that tomorrow is our wedding? She didn't really want to clarify, she just wanted to delay time. Once I get the company's affairs in order, she can kick me out. After I reminded him, Shintingxue seemed to realize it belatedly. She thought for a moment and said, I can help you explain the cancellation of the wedding to those guests and friends, as long as you can sort out the company's affairs. It's urgent now, we really can't afford to delay. Chapter 11 True Identity. Chapter 11 True Identity. Looking at Shintingxue's anxious expression. If it had been changed before, I would have definitely helped her solve the problem immediately with great concern. But now, Shintingxue's attitude, in my opinion, is simply a joke. I've already told you that I'm not in the mood to deal with your company's affairs right now. Let your employees handle their work as it should be done by their employees. I heard that guy is a graduate student in information engineering from a double first-class university. He can't even solve such a small problem. If you encounter problems in your life in the future, you probably can't count on him. When Shinting Xue saw that I mocked Chen Boyu, her attitude immediately changed. Lin Feng. What do you mean by this? You made the program, and it's normal that Boyu doesn't know the ins and outs of it. Oh. I see. You were just jealous of him, so you deliberately made trouble when he left, right? What Shinting Xue said was not wrong. After all, this little bug is indeed a small test I left for Chen Boyu. But I didn't expect that Chen Boyu couldn't solve such a small problem. Not only. Therefore, he probably magnified and exaggerated the problems infinitely when he was in the company. The purpose was to make Shinting Xue feel that he was deliberately making things difficult for her, rather than that he was just too incompetent. If you can provide evidence, I'll let you say whatever you want. Shinting Xue became extremely anxious when she saw that I just refused to give in. Hey, I'm really in a hurry now. Tell me, how can you help me? I couldn't see any trace of guilt on Shinting Xue's face. In her opinion, whatever I do for her should be taken for granted. Even though tomorrow is my wedding with her, even though I'm already overwhelmed by fake news. In Shinting Xue's eyes, she never cared about my feelings. In this case, if you want me to repay evil with kindness, I will naturally not agree. From this moment on, I will tell him. I, Lin Feng, will no longer be a puppet that she can order around. Boss Shen, I'm warning you for the last time. I still have a lot of things to do. Solve your own problems by yourselves and don't bother me anymore. Having said that, I lay back on the bed and ignored whatever Shinting Xue said. A few minutes later, Shinting Xue. Seeing that I seemed determined not to help her, his true nature finally revealed. Well done, Lin Feng. You have really become very capable. I also warn you, if you do something like this today, don't regret it. After saying these harsh words, Shinting Xue slammed the door and left. Her intrusion without any reason disturbed my sleep. After a quick wash, I also called Jiang Wanning. Hey, do you have time this afternoon? Let's go order the wedding dress and wedding rings. Jiang Wanning seemed a little surprised when she received my call. You have already decided on all these, what else do you need me to do? Wanning, the one that was booked before was for Shinting Xue. It's you who will be having the wedding with me tomorrow, not her. I don't want you to use other people's things. I want to give you a unique wedding. Last night, Jiang Wanning's meticulous care for me was the warmest time I have had in these years. Since the next person who will be walking with me is Jiang Wanning, then I must not owe her anything. For tomorrow's wedding, I must prepare better than before and make Shinting Xue regret it. Chapter 12 Without Comparison, How Can We See True Love? Chapter 12, Without Comparison, How Can We See True Love? Jiang Wanning hesitated for a moment and then agreed. After all, which girl doesn't want to have her own wedding dress and diamond ring? We agreed to meet at a shopping mall in the city center in the afternoon. After agreeing on the time, I arrived at the agreed place early. Who would have thought that Jiang Wanning's voice reached my ears as soon as I arrived? Lin Feng, you're here early. I looked down at the time and realized that I was 10 minutes early. Unexpectedly, Jiang Wanning arrived earlier than me. Thinking back to the years when Shinting Xue and I went out together. I have to wait for Shinting Xue for at least an hour. Even so, she always asked me to arrive earlier than the agreed time. They say this is a man's respect for a girl. It is a direct reflection of my love for her and my presence in my heart. I remember one winter, we made an appointment to meet at Linjiang Park. I waited for Shinting Xue for 3 hours. In the end, she happily went to eat hot pot with her best friends. Completely forgot that I was still waiting for her. When I got home that day, I developed a high fever. After Shinting Xue learned about my health condition, instead of apologizing, she complained about the cold weather and the fact that I did not pick her up, forcing her to find a designated driver to go home by herself. I was already dizzy from fever, but I still had to help her pack her things for tomorrow's business trip. Thinking about it now, I was really stupid back then. Lin Feng, what's wrong with you? Seeing that I was in a daze, Jiang Wanning looked at me with a smile. Only then did I notice that Jiang Wanning seemed different today than usual. When he was with Shinting Xue, Jiang Wanning always gave him the impression of being a cute girl. But since she agreed to her own proposal, Jiang Wanning's entire temperament changed. Today, she is wearing an elegant long dress, paired with exquisite pink high heels, and she is like a completely different person. Nothing, I just think you are very beautiful today. After I said this, Jiang Wanning blushed, bit her lips, and looked quite pleased. Heh, I see that's how you usually coax Shue. Of course, I only love. People are not stingy with compliments. But from today on, I swear, you are the only one who can hear these words. I did not choose to avoid or deny Jiang Wanning's questions. After all, Jiang Wanning had seen what she was like when she was with Shue. But my promise still made Jiang Wanning feel more at ease. Let's go pick out diamond rings first, and then look at wedding dresses, how about that? Jiang Wanning put her arm around me, and naturally I held her hand for the first time. Soon, the diamond ring and couple's rings were ready. Compared with the style I ordered for Shue, it is more exquisite and more expensive. After arriving at the bridal shop, Jiang Wanning was truly overwhelmed by the choices. Look at the dazzling array of Chinese-style dresses and Western-style wedding dresses. Jiang Wanning spent several hours trying this. Seeing her changing one piece after another, each one of them pleasing to the eye, I couldn't help but feel in a good mood. In the end, Jiang Wanning chose a pure white long-tail dress, which made her perfect figure look even more outstanding. Honey, I've decided. I want this one. Let's go check out. Chapter 13 Professional Team. Chapter 13 Professional Team. This was the first time Jiang Wanning called me husband. It makes me feel itchy. Unexpectedly, Jiang Wanning has such a charming side. This feeling of willingly paying for a woman is great for men. Isn't it also a kind of enjoyment and sense of accomplishment? Lin Feng, you are so patient. At the end of the test, I was a little afraid that you would be angry. This is the biggest difference between Jiang Wanning and Shue. If it were Shue, she would definitely not have this feeling of guilt. On the contrary, I feel that I am an eyesore sitting here, and I am the scapegoat when people can't make up their minds. No, isn't it a very happy thing to watch your fiancé try on a wedding dress? Well, what else do we have planned next? The wedding venue should be almost ready. I have temporarily adjusted the team again. Let's go and take a look. Soon, I brought Jiang Wanning to the venue of tomorrow's wedding, the Crown Plaza Hotel. Tomorrow, this place will be booked out. The hall on the third floor is where we will enter the marriage hall. Place. I took Jiang Wanning to the wedding scene. Under my arrangement, all elements related to Shue have been completely eliminated. Instead, he changed to Jiang Wanning's favorite. Regarding Jiang Wanning's preferences, I would also like to thank Shue. If she hadn't asked me to help choose birthday gifts for Jiang Wanning every time. How come I know her preferences so well? Looking at the venue layout that looks like Alice in Wonderland. Jiang Wanning immediately became interested. Lin Feng, how do you know I like these? Seeing Jiang Wanning's beautiful smile, I felt that my efforts were not in vain. Just as Jiang Wanning and I were discussing tomorrow's procedures. The MC, along with the photography and videography team, gathered around. Jiang Wanning was shocked when she saw this and asked. You are the best wedding team in Magic City, right? You are Mr. Xinghua, right? Wow, you are the masters of T-Mac Media. Jiang Wanning excitedly greeted each team member one by one. Lin Feng, how did you invite them all here? I heard that if you want to schedule an appointment with them, you have to schedule it several days in advance. The moon. Teacher Xinghua smiled and said. Boss Lin, madam is joking. It's just a matter of a word for you to call us here. Others also echoed. Yes, brother Lin, what madam said is too polite. Boss Lin, we're here for you whenever you need us. But for something as important as a wedding, we wish you a success, har har. Jiang Wanning was naturally confused when she saw that everyone in the professional team called her Mr. Lin. Judging from my ability, it should be impossible to invite these absolute big names. Lin Feng, what's going on? Why do they call you Mr. Lin? Are you hiding something from me? A look of worry appeared on Jiang Wanning's face. Since I have decided to spend my life with Jiang Wanning, there are some things that I don't need to hide from her anymore. Wan Ning, what I'm going to say next might be a little scary. Actually, I'm the chairman of Kamikaze Technology Group. Kamikaze Technology was founded by me. You must have heard of this name, right? Chapter 14 Hidden Deep. Chapter 14 Hidden Deep. Kamikaze Technology Group. Isn't this the most popular company listed on the Science and Technology Innovation Board recently? Jiang Wanning looked at me in shock. His eyes were full of doubt and a hint of expectation. I smiled back. Yes, Wanning, this is my company. Our company just went public a month ago, so it does have some potential. Jiang Wanning looked around doubtfully. Teacher Xinghua made a joke at the right time to ease the awkwardness between us. Oh, Mr. Lin, you are really good at hiding. You're getting married to your sister-in-law tomorrow, and she doesn't even know your family background. The others couldn't help but complain as well. Har har, sister-in-law, you have to keep an eye on my brother Lin. Yeah, it would be troublesome if such a big CEO was snatched away by you. Everyone was talking and laughing, and the atmosphere relaxed again. Lin Feng, your real identity, does she know? Originally, Jiang Wanning only thought that I was someone she could entrust her life to. After all, her Jiang family is also a well-known local family. The Jiang family group is in its heyday. Jiang Wanning's idea, naturally, is to make a name for herself after marriage. But she never expected that I was also from a wealthy family. This made Jiang Wanning worried. If Shintingxue knew my true identity, would she come to me and ask for an explanation? Hey, come here Wanning, there are some things I want to tell you only to yourself. Amid the crowd's cheers, I pulled Jiang Wanning to a quieter place outside. Wanning, actually Ms. Shin doesn't know my true identity. Jiang Wanning was still reluctant to believe it when she heard it. Real. I swear. In fact, I originally wanted to give her a surprise at the wedding. But you also know what happened next. There is no such fate between her and me. What's more, my Kamikaze Technology Group is openly in competition with the Shin Group. Recently, my people have been arguing with Mr. Shin over several projects. It was me who stepped in and finally gave the project to her. Because of these things, she has a. There has always been some prejudice. So, after much thought, I decided to. After hearing what I said, Jiang Wanning visibly breathed a sigh of relief. For Jiang Wanning, Shintingxue was probably her ultimate enemy in her heart. For a useless gigolo, he actually abandoned the head of a listed company. Based on my understanding of this, best friend. After the wedding tomorrow, Shintingxue will probably regret it to death. Then you're not afraid that I'm lying to you, right? Jiang Wanning leaned into my arms playfully. Afraid? Of course I am afraid. However, if a white rabbit like you falls into my hands, it may not be so easy to escape from my palm. He, who said I was going to run away. Lin Feng, thank you for being so honest with me. From now on, we will definitely be happy, right? Looking at the girl's expectant eyes, my desire to protect her was aroused again. But this time, I seemed to really have feelings for Jiang Wanning. If last night's drinking was just the result of a momentary impulse. So, now I just want to be with her as soon as possible and make her my little wife. Chapter 15, Grand Wedding. Chapter 15, Grand Wedding. The next day, early morning. According to wedding customs, I have to go out to welcome the bride early in the morning. After going through 9981 difficulties, Jiang Wanning was finally welcomed to their wedding scene. Today's scene can only be described as grand. Their hall, which could accommodate hundreds of people, was packed. Amidst everyone's blessings, I walked onto the stage arm in arm with Jiang Wanning. At this moment, two sneaky people sneaked into the wedding scene. Although the lights were dazzling, I could still see Chen Boyu hiding in the corner at a glance. Beside him, there was a man wearing a hat and a mask. A person who covers himself tightly. How could such a trick escape my notice? Shintingxue. As expected, she couldn't resist her curiosity and came to the scene. In this case, don't blame me for showing you some color. Originally, early this morning, Shintingxue wanted to drag Chen Boyu to laugh at me. They thought that without the bride, their wedding would be nothing more than performance art. But unexpectedly, after arriving at the scene, the photo of Shintingxue and me has disappeared. Their hostess instantly turned into Jiang Wanning. This is for. Shintingxue was greatly shocked. I didn't expect that my best friend would get married for me. She married someone like me, a burden in Shintingxue's eyes. Although she was puzzled, Shintingxue still tried to find some fun in the wedding scene. Who would have thought that in just one day, I not only readjusted the wedding scene, but also replaced all of it with Jiang Wanning's favorite elements. In fact, this wedding will be even more grand than my previous preparations. This is what made Shen Tingxue most upset. I am on the stage, enjoying the best moment with Jiang Wanning. After exchanging rings, they kissed each other. I also made a sincere promise to Jiang Wanning. Some people in the audience were moved by our love and shed tears. As the MC announced the end of the ceremony, we had completed an extremely important journey in our lives. Wanning, go change your makeup and clothes for the toast. I'll take care of this here. Jiang Wanning nodded shyly and walked towards the back hall. After the wedding, I naturally had to exchange brief greetings with some of the distinguished guests. The heads of several large groups stood up. Get up. Among them is the Chen group, which is Chen Boyu's father, Chen Tingguan. Not far away, Chen Boyu saw his father and was shocked. Tingxue, look, isn't that my dad? Shen Tingxue glanced over and saw that she was among the people greeting me. Except Chen Boyu's father Chen Tingguan. There is also Wan Lingqi, the CEO of Hongshuo Group, and Hua Minghan, the CEO of Feiyue Power. And Qiu Mingyu, the old partner of Shen Group and the executive president of Galaxy Energy. These people are the decision makers of the pillar industries in Linjiang City and even the entire Jiangyun province. Why are they at my wedding? Could it be that I invited these people here under the name of Shen Tingxue? But some people have never had any intersection with me. Shen Tingxue was puzzled. Boyu, didn't your father tell you about the relationship between him and Lin Feng? Chen Boyu was delighted to see that his father actually smiled in front of me. I became even more confused. Who the hell is Lin Feng? How dare he know my dad? I think he's just using your name to cheat people out there, Tingxue. Chapter 16 It's him. Chapter 16 It's actually him? Having said that, Shen Tingxue had already seen the clues. The people in charge of these big companies are all trying to get close to me. This is definitely not something that Shen Tingxue can achieve with her personal energy. Could it be that Lin Feng is hiding some secret? Shen Tingxue murmured. Chen Boyu gave me a disdainful look. He is clearly using a big name to deceive others. It won't be long before these big shots realize they have been deceived. They will definitely not let him off. I had already noticed that Chen Boyu and Shen Tingxue were whispering something in secret. But it is difficult to deal with them in front of so many distinguished guests. Boss Lin, what do you think of the project I mentioned earlier? We need to reform the internal system of our energy group. You, Mr. Lin, have already agreed to this project. After sending their blessings, Wan Lingqi and Qiu Mingyu quickly turned their attention back to work. Today, I really didn't want to discuss work matters, but I didn't want to offend everyone, so I had to agree to everything. Hua Minghan is. Among them, there are those who can keep calm. Today is Mr. Lin's big wedding day, so I won't say much. After your honeymoon, remember to come and sit in my office. I'll prepare some good tea for you, Mr. Lin, to taste. Har har, Mr. Hua, you are too polite. I should invite you to be my guest. I am a junior in the industry and I still need your guidance. I still have great respect for these industry leaders who have already made some achievements. However, Chen Boyu's father, Chen Tingguan, also wants to get close to me, so I can't indulge him. Boss Lin, you see, our Chen group also has a lot of emerging technology industry chains to develop. I wonder if we. Mr. Chen, today is my big day. We can talk about these things again when we have the chance. Before Chen Tingguan could finish speaking, I interrupted him. Almost everyone present was a smart person and could tell at a glance my attitude towards the Chen group. Chen Tingguan's face turned cold when he heard this. I don't know why, but I feel a little hostile towards him. After some socializing, Jiang Wanning also changed into a new dress. Looking at my radiant wife, I was in a very good mood and toasted with the guests present. Shen Tingxue and Chen Boyu had also been hiding in the corner. It seems like he is looking for some opportunity. Finally, Jiang Wanning and I approached a table at the side. Shen Tingxue shook off Chen Boyu's hand, rushed forward and stood in front of me. Seeing her angry look, I subconsciously protected Jiang Wanning behind me. It was this protective action that completely broke Shen Tingxue's defense. Lin Feng. You must be hiding something from me. Tell me quickly, how did you invite these people here? Are you using my name? Just tell me. I see you are guilty. You liar, scoundrel, bastard. Seeing Shinting Xue becoming more and more crazy, she kept cursing me and even dragged Jiang Wanning into it. I immediately asked the security personnel to come over and throw Shinting Xue and Chen Boyu out together. However, Shinting Xue made quite a noise, and everyone's eyes were focused on this small corner. Dear guests, there was a small misunderstanding just now. I am sorry to disturb your fun. This glass of wine, my wife and I toast to everyone. Come on, let's drink it. Chapter 17 Wedding Night. Chapter 17 Wedding Night. As I raised my glass, the atmosphere at the scene was pushed to a climax. The blessings for Wanning and me came like an overwhelming tide. What made me feel even more comfortable was that it was really funny to see Shinting Xue and Chen Boyu looking so embarrassed. As everything has settled, my thoughts seem to still linger in the banquet hall. When I came to my senses, I was already in the bridal chamber. Jiang Wanning sat next to me and gently leaned her head on my shoulder. I haven't experienced this kind of reassuring feeling for many years. Wanning, thank you. In response to my sudden thanks, Jiang Wanning said, You always think about others first. But I am no longer someone else. Can't you relax a little when you are with me? Jiang Wanning's words touched my heart. For a moment, tears welled up in my eyes. It is my great fortune to have a girl like Jiang Wanning to accompany me for the rest of my life. What's wrong, husband? Are you tired today? Jiang Wanning gently massaged my shoulders and neck. I pulled. Jiang Wanning's jade hand was gently kissed. Jiang Wanning showed a warm smile and said shyly, Hubby, I also want to thank you for giving me such a dream wedding. When the passion reached its peak, I couldn't help but hug Jiang Wanning. Today's late lemon is particularly bright and beautiful. The night before last, she was still saying that she would not kiss a drunk man who didn't love her. And now, Jiang Wanning's eyes were full of love and she let me kiss her. I am quite confident in my kissing skills. Sure enough, after being kissed by him, Jiang Wanning also became aroused. After a while, we both reluctantly separated. Suddenly, I thought that although I had a wedding with Jiang Wanning, but we haven't got the certificate yet. If I were to consummate my marriage with her tonight, it would be somewhat disrespectful to Wanning. Well, Wanning, you've been tired all day, you should go to bed early. I'll sleep in the guest bedroom today. Seeing that I was about to leave, Jiang Wanning grabbed me. She bit her lips lightly and mumbled, Don't leave, okay? But, we haven't tea. Before I could finish, Jiang Wanning's cherry lips came closer to mine. After a kiss, Jiang Wanning also expressed her feelings to me. After the wedding, you will be my good husband. As for the remaining certificate, we can go and get it tomorrow, right? Don't you want to do that with me tonight? Faced with Jiang Wanning's teasing, I could no longer control myself. Seeing that I didn't answer, Jiang Wanning gently took off her clothes and stared at me with her beautiful eyes. Husband and wife should have in-depth communication. Honey, this is my first time, please be gentle. Jiang Wanning's words were a critical hit to me. If I had hesitated just now. Well, if I could still control myself in the face of such explicitness, I wouldn't be a real man. Hug, kiss, caress. That night, Jiang Wanning and I hugged each other for a long time before we fell into a deep sleep. In my dream that night, there seemed to be no trace of Shinting Xue in my world anymore. All that was left was Jiang Wanning's smiling face. Chapter 18, Encounter at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Chapter 18, Encounter at the Civil Affairs Bureau. The next morning, when I woke up, it was almost noon. To my surprise, Wanning was not by my side. I got out of bed and walked to the middle hall, only then I found that a prepared breakfast was placed on the dining table. There is also a cup of hot milk, my favorite drink. You lazy bastard, you just woke up. Wanning's voice came from the kitchen. I sat at the dining table and my feeling of happiness suddenly exploded. Once upon a time, I was the one busy in the kitchen. Even if Shinting Xue and I prepared breakfast, she would always complain. Either you complain that the breakfast I made is too simple, or today's breakfast is too monotonous. In short, in Shinting Xue's eyes, I never seemed to be that good to her. But today, for the first time, I felt the joy of getting up early in the morning and having breakfast. Wanning, why are you up so early? Upon hearing that, Jiang Wanning ran behind me and hugged me. I just felt that the soft touch on my back was really refreshing. I didn't get up very early. My husband worked so hard last night. I can't get up early. You must be hungry when you wake up. When Jiang Wanning talked about last night, I couldn't help but recall that soul-stirring feeling. There was restlessness again. Jiang Wanning saw it with sharp eyes and teased me with a smile. Husband, why are you so mean? I quickly lowered my head and happily finished the breakfast prepared by Wanning. How is it, does it taste good? The breakfast my wife makes is the best in the world. If you like, I'll make it for you every day, okay? I also kissed Wanning's forehead lovingly. My wife, don't work too hard. How about we prepare breakfast together from now on? Jiang Wanning seemed a little surprised by my reaction. But this surprise soon turned into relief. In the Jiang family, Jiang Wanning had watched her mother prepare a sumptuous breakfast for her father, brother and herself since she was a child. My father never interfered. But I didn't expect that after getting married, I would be so gentle to her. Oh, honey, just pack up and we'll go get the certificate today. For my suggestion, Jiang Wanning naturally. There was no hesitation at all. Okay, we're going to have a honeymoon anyway, and after we get the marriage certificate, I can give an explanation to my family. Because their wedding was held in such a hurry, Jiang Wanning has not yet explained her marriage clearly to her family. Of course I won't treat Wanning unfairly. After everything is settled, Wanning's family will also hold a grand celebration. Fortunately, Kamikaze Technology is still cooperating with Jiang Group. I am a very popular person in front of my father-in-law. As long as Wanning and I truly love each other, I don't think our family will object. After a while, Jiang Wanning changed into a little dress and put on some natural makeup. We just went out. The Civil Affairs Bureau looks deserted today. There were only a few couples who came to get their marriage certificates. However, just as the two of us were getting a number at the window and preparing to apply for our marriage certificate, two familiar figures appeared in front of us. As the saying goes, enemies often meet in a narrow road. Unexpectedly, we were not the only two coming to get the marriage certificate today. Shintingxue and Chen Boyu also walked into the hall hand in hand and happened to come face to face with us. Chapter 19, Another Dispute. Chapter 19, Another Dispute. A chance encounter often means embarrassment. But these two words are a bit light when used to describe the four of us. When Shintingxue saw me and Jiang Wanning holding hands, her face turned red instantly. Chen Boyu was about to grab Shintingxue, but she had already shaken his hand off and rushed towards him. Lin Feng, Jiang Wanning. How dare you betray me? Yesterday at the wedding, Shintingxue had already decided to question both of us in this way. It's a pity that I didn't give her the chance to cause a scene at the venue. We just arranged for security personnel to throw her out. But when we met here today, I couldn't just do something to her. Betrayal. Ridiculous, Mr. Shin, do you know what you are talking about? These two words, coming out of your mouth, are simply disgusting. I really can't understand how Shintingxue could say with such confidence that it was the two of us who betrayed her when she had an affair. It was obvious that she ignored me for her own selfish reasons and even framed me for cheating in the media. If Jiang Wanning hadn't been there, I wouldn't know how the story would end. Available. Now, she dares to be so rude to me and Wanning. How can I indulge her anymore? Lin Feng, don't you just want to take revenge on me? I see your tricks clearly. And you, Jiang Wanning, I really didn't expect you to be so self-deprecating. Faced with Shintingxue's shouting, I didn't care at all. Wanning was a shy girl and was obviously a little angry. Wanning, we don't need to care about these irrelevant people. Let's go and get the certificate first. I promise that I will only be nice to you from now on. I will never care about the rest of the people. Only after I made my promise did Jiang Wanning smile a little. However, these words made Shintingxue break down her defenses again. Lin Feng. Are you interested? And you, Jiang Wanning, have you been flirting with Lin Feng behind my back for a long time? I felt before that something was wrong when you two met. You must have been together for a long time without my knowledge. Jiang Wanning would naturally not swallow her anger when being accused without reason. What's more, now that I have your back, since we have already torn our relationship apart, this bestie can't. There is no point in doing it. Shintingxue, I have never done anything to let you down, please be more respectful. They kept flirting, and I don't know who cheated first. Jiang Wanning's counterattack made Shintingxue grit her teeth. However, her personality never allows her to lose the upper hand. You two adulterous couple, sooner or later, I will make you pay the price. Especially you, Lin Feng. As long as I'm around, you won't be able to live a peaceful life. Seeing that Shintingxue was still so persistent, I sneered and responded. Boss Shin, you keep saying that we are an adulterous couple, but how did the child in your belly come from? Do you think you will be happy only if I tell you the gossip about you and this pretty boy in public? I'm warning you for the last time, Shintingxue. If you don't want everyone to know, the child in your belly was conceived by an affair before marriage. When you see us next time, lower your head and be respectful. Otherwise, the story between you and this pretty boy will spread to the whole Linjiang city immediately. Chapter 21 Day Date. Chapter 21 Day Date. After my warning, Shintingxue's momentum obviously weakened. That aggressive look disappeared in an instant. There are few people in the Civil Affairs Bureau. Many staff members listened to what I said and saw Shintingxue's reaction. They couldn't help but discuss in a low voice. TSK, look at this woman, she is so shameless. Yeah, she's pregnant with a gigolo's child, and she's blaming her ex-boyfriend for what he did. Who says it's not true? These days, there are many people with low moral standards. Some people do something wrong and then turn around and blame others for being inconsiderate. Oh, Sister Wang is right. This woman is just that kind of person. Hey, when I think about having to get a license for someone like this, I feel like my computer is going to get dirty. Shintingxue could only pretend to be deaf to the staff's discussions. If you lose your temper here, you will be the one who ends up embarrassing yourself. Once the incident is photographed by bad media, Shin Group's listing plan will most likely be postponed. Chen Boyu, this coward, hid behind Shintingxue and didn't even dare to fart. I still can't figure out what Shintingxue sees in this boy. However, what happens to the two of them has nothing to do with me. Wan Ning, from today on, we are certified to work. Come to think of it, we've been so busy since we decided to get married and got the marriage certificate that we haven't had a proper date yet. My suggestion made Jiang Wanning's cheeks blush instantly. A date? When? Seeing Jiang Wanning's expectant look, I responded. Today, of course. Now that we're a legal couple, how about continuing our one-day date? Jiang Wanning and I left the Civil Affairs Bureau chatting and laughing. Shintingxue was left with a livid face, unable to utter a word. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, Jiang Wanning and I went on our first date. To be honest, I have been following Shintingxue's plan over the years. At first, I was helping her pay off her family's debts. At that time, I was working day and night, so I didn't have the leisure time to date. Later, with my help, Shin Group finally started to improve. Shintingxue started her career, There is even less time for dating with her. When I think carefully, I haven't had a single memorable date in all these years. For me, this can also be considered a pity. Honey, to be honest with you, I've never been in love, and I don't think I've ever been on a date. That's just right. I'm a bit of a straight man. Since we're both new to love, why don't we start with the basics? My proposal was quickly approved by Jiang Wanning. For the rest of the day, we did the most cheesy dating project. Eat and watch a movie. After dinner, we walked hand in hand on the street. Under the streetlight, we couldn't help but hug and kiss each other. The word happiness seemed to have finally materialized at this moment. I finally understand what it feels like to find someone who loves you. It is such a joy to be rewarded for your efforts. However, just when we were both tired and ready to go home, we received a call from the company. Hey, Mr. Lin, something bad has happened. It seems our system has been hacked. Chapter 21 Give him some color. Chapter 21 Give him some color. The company's system was hacked. This news took me a while to react to. Then, I burst out laughing at this ridiculous news. Who am I, Lin Feng? He is the information technology expert who founded Kamikaze Technologies. Without boasting, in today's world, at least in our country, I am the only one who can slander others. No one else dares to mess with me in this regard. I don't know who is so bold as to do this. How dare you attack me in the system? However, I soon understood it. At this time, there should be no one else who would attack her except her, Shintingxue. Wan, let me take you home first. I have to go back to the company in the evening. Jiang Wanning saw that I looked relaxed and didn't think much about it. You still have to go to the company so late, husband, aren't you too tired? I stroked Jiang Wanning's hair and said in a gentle voice. No, I'm just going to deal with some minor issues. I'll be back soon. You stay home and wait for me. It seems that the 4 words, wait for me obediently, have a great impact on Jiang Wan. Lemon is extremely lethal. After hearing my instructions, she instantly turned into a kitten and agreed in a chuckle. Honey, you have to come back early. I'll wait for you in the bedroom. Naturally, I understood Jiang Wanning's hint. We were newlyweds, and if Shintingxue and the others hadn't caused trouble, I would have planned to rest for a few more days. However, she must have taken seriously what Shintingxue said this morning. As long as she still has the ability, she will never let herself live too comfortably. At the same time, inside the Chen group, Chen Boyu was directing his men, while Shintingxue was standing aside, looking very angry. Tingxue, according to your arrangement, I contacted Lin Feng. He is my postgraduate classmate. He has never failed since his debut. Look, he just took action and the kamikaze technology system's defenses have completely collapsed. After listening to Chen Boyu's report, Shintingxue's expression eased a little. Take me to him. Upon hearing this, Chen Boyu took Shintingxue to the computer room. At this moment, Lin Feng's hands were rapidly typing on the keyboard. But his expression was very relaxed. Boyu, oh, my sister-in-law is here too. Don't worry, I have already cracked the kamikaze technology system. If nothing unexpected happens, they won't be able to work normally within 10 days. Chen Boyu was naturally very proud when he heard this. Hey, this Lin Feng really doesn't know what he can do. I didn't think he was that capable. The defense system he built was still easily broken by us Kunyang. Chen Boyu has been humiliated everywhere these days. Now that he has found an opportunity, he will naturally ridicule him. 10 days. If possible, I will completely paralyze his company. Sister-in-law, I don't know why you are angry, but I have something to say in advance. To completely paralyze their company is another price. Boyu and I are brothers, so we have to settle accounts clearly, right? You can name any price, I only care about the results. With Shintingxue's promise, Lin Feng naturally went all out. Kamikaze Technology Headquarters Building. Seeing me coming to the office, Technical Director Liu Yuchen said hurriedly. I'm sorry, Mr. Lin, I'm disturbing you and your wife's rest so late. Chapter 22, Trivial Skills. Chapter 22 Trivial Skills. Seeing Liu Yuchen looking apologetic, I didn't care. Yuchen, what's going on now? How could our defense system be breached? Actually, I am a little curious too. After all, it is a system I designed myself. The fact that he could be defeated by someone showed that his opponent was also quite an expert. From the current perspective, someone must have remotely controlled the hacker system. We have responded in a timely manner, but the office system is temporarily unavailable. Well, you guys did a great job. Let me meet this guy. Well, it's been a long time since anyone dared to challenge me head-on. I want to see how capable he is. Liu Yuchen couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw that I had taken over the system. After all, he is nominally the technical director. But for him, the technical aspect is secondary. He is a childhood friend of mine who grew up with me and is someone who is absolutely trustworthy. Like Zhang Cheng, I feel a lot more at ease as long as he is around. As for technical issues, I don't think there will be any problems as long as I'm here. But I didn't expect that tonight, Shintingxue. Of course, they will find someone to provoke me. Then I must let them know what real technology is. Brother Feng, we won't bother you anymore. Okay, go ahead and remember to order some midnight snacks. Midnight snack? Brother Feng, do you mean that we have to fight with each other for a long time at night? No, I mean, I'm a little hungry now. It won't take long for me to convince the other party. We have to celebrate on a small scale, don't we? My confidence infected Liu Yuchen. He had a frown on his face just now, but now he is smiling. Oh, it still depends on our brother Feng. Okay, I'll go get ready now. After Liu Yuchen left, I also started to check out this so-called hacking program. After a simple browse, I have to say that if this program were written in an average company, it would most likely paralyze the entire company for a period of time. It's a pity that these things are just trifles to me. I took the keyboard and immediately wrote 2 lines of code on the computer. In an instant, all the programs that were locked just now were restored. That's it. On the other side, Lin Kunyang was still feeling smug, thinking that he had broken through the defense system I had set up. Chen Boyu also said seriously, "Tingxue, what do you think? I said that with Kunyang here, that Lin Feng is just a clown. Although it claims to be a shitty technology company, I think that the reason it was able to go public was probably because it borrowed or swindled money from outsiders. Such a person is worthy of fighting with us. It's just a foolish dream." Tingxue also felt very relieved when she saw this. All day long, she complained about me, hiding many things from her. This time, my company was about to suffer a serious loss, so Tingxue naturally felt relieved. However, they didn't have time to be happy for even 2 minutes. Lin Kunyang suddenly sat up straight, and his idle hands resumed editing code at a high speed. Chen Boyu was shocked when he saw this and asked quickly, "Kunyang, what happened?" "Boyu, my program has been blocked by the other party. It seems that the other party also has experts. If you want to deal with him, I'm afraid it won't be as easy as you think." Chapter 23, Collapse. Chapter 23, Collapse at the touch. Chen Boyu became extremely anxious when he saw things take a turn for the worse. You know, Lin Kunyang is all the resources he can use. The level of information technology is second to none. If even Lin Kunyang can't defeat Lin Feng, then he will be helpless. "Kunyang, do you mean that Lin Feng has also found an expert?" "I have no way of knowing that. I can only say that the person on the other side, no matter who it is, he is definitely the most powerful opponent I have ever encountered." Chen Boyu was very clear about Lin Kunyang's strength and status in the circle. Lin Kunyang's words made Chen Boyu feel even more guilty. Tingxue was impatient and naturally didn't want to let the duck in her mouth fly away. "Kunyang, you are a big name in the industry, can't you deal with a small company like Kamikaze Technology?" Tingxue's questioning made Lin Kunyang feel a little unhappy. However, this is taking money from others to help them get rid of disasters. Although Lin Kunyang was somewhat dissatisfied, he did not say much for the sake of money. "Boss Shen, please wait a moment. I have a lot of fun things to show him. Just wait and see." Bar. Lin Kunyang's confidence is somewhat based on facts. In recent years, Lin Kunyang has been working in a technology company. But in private, he often takes some side income. Most of these efforts are aimed at attacking the systems of major companies. Lin Kunyang has never failed since he started working in this business. Known as the Little Zhao Yun among hackers. In addition, his personal RD capabilities are indeed impressive. He has more than a dozen hacking systems, all developed by himself. It's a pity that this time, the opponent he met was me. As their computer sounded the alarm, I knew that the enemy's second wave of attack had begun. I thought that the other party should be able to learn from the experience of being defeated instantly by me the first time. But unexpectedly, the opponent's methods were not much different from last time. There is just a slight difference in form. Faced with this level of attack, the firewall that I had adjusted personally was naturally defeated in one blow. In the next 10 minutes, Lin Kunyang used more than 10 codes in succession to try to attack my main system. But all his programs wouldn't even last half a minute in my hands. Later, it can be clearly felt. Lin Kunyang went through the entire journey from self-confidence, to popularity, and then to breaking through the defense. Sure enough, it was just as I expected. At this moment, Lin Kunyang had slumped in the swivel chair. The 4 words, "helpless," were about to be printed on his face. Oh my god, what kind of god is this person? I tried every possible way, but every time I tried, I was defeated in seconds. "Kunyang, don't worry. We have plenty of time to waste with him tonight." Seeing that Lin Kunyang had lost his temper, Chen Boyu hurriedly tried to cheer him up. Tingxue's face turned even more livid when he saw this. I was a little anxious and confused. Lin Feng's company was listed on the Science and Technology Innovation Board, so how could there be no great people around him? Why did I end up messing with him in this way? Forget it. Since the other side has experts here, let's think of other ways. Anyway, if I want to teach him a lesson, this is not the right time. However, just when Shen Tingxue was about to give up attacking kamikaze technology, Lin Kunyang's face suddenly changed. Oh no! The enemy is starting to counterattack us. Chapter 24, Counterattack. Chapter 24, Counterattack. What? Attack us? Shen Tingxue was about to give up. Unexpectedly, the other party would take the initiative to attack. Chen Boyu was even more anxious. You know, he was using the computer of his own Chen group. Once something goes wrong, my father will know what happened tonight the next morning. More importantly, once the Chen group's computers were attacked. Several projects that I have won with hard work. The progress of the project will definitely be delayed. By then, the late payment fees alone would be enough to make you pay for it. Kunyang, quick! Stop it now! Lin Kunyang was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. At this moment, he couldn't stop just because he wanted to. In the office, I was sitting leisurely with my legs crossed, holding a bottle of ice cola in my hand. Seeing that the Chen Group's defense system was vulnerable, I also successfully obtained a lot of internal documents of the Chen Group. Among them, a document about investment promotion caught my interest. I still remember that I was the one who secretly helped Chen Group to get this project. After getting the project, Shen Tingxue's performance was. It's a little unusual. Little did she know that she had been in cahoots with Chen Boyu several months ago. However, I really can't figure it out. Shen Tingxue has always been building up her image as a strong career woman. Unexpectedly, she would actually take the initiative to secretly transfer the project acquired by Shen Group to this kid Chen Boyu. When I thought about how my hard work was ruined by this adulterous couple, I couldn't help but burst out with anger. Shen Tingxue, since you treat me like this, don't blame me for ruining that pretty boy's project. At first, I just wanted to teach Chen Boyu a lesson. By the way, we will also meet the experts he invited. Who would have thought that the level of this master was far from what I had imagined, and I couldn't really call him an opponent. Then, I saw evidence of their dirty tricks behind the scenes. If we don't teach them a lesson now, they will really not know their place. Picking up the keyboard again, I typed a few lines of code. As I was finalizing the code, the word wearing has appeared on the computer in front of Lin Kunyang. It's broken. How could the other party? So amazing. It was actually able to reverse trace through my program. Boyu, hurry. The only way now is to cut off the power supply to the entire building. Chen Boyu had never seen Lin Kunyang so frightened. Kunyang, we can't cut off the power, there are still many people working overtime. Boyu, don't hesitate. The other party's software is extremely destructive. If you were half a minute late, the consequences would be disastrous. All project files on your computer will be cleared. Lin Kunyang's reminder made Chen Boyu realize the seriousness of the problem. Shen Tingxue knew nothing about electronics, and until now, she still couldn't figure it out. Why was it our side that initiated the attack, and in the end, we ended up shooting ourselves in the foot? As Chen Boyu gave the order, all power supply to the entire Chen Group building was immediately cut off. Just in case, we didn't even dare to start the backup power supply. For a moment, those who were still working overtime in the company started talking about it. Oh my god, what's going on? It's getting dark so quickly. Who knows? Since the power is out, let's just go home from get off work. Yes. Take this opportunity and get off work quickly. This job is not for human beings. Chapter 25 Difficult to Recover. Chapter 25 Difficult to Recover. The Chen Group soon fell into chaos due to the power outage. Chen Boyu was originally talking and laughing with Lin Kunyang, but now, he could no longer laugh at all. Kunyang, you have received the money, how are you going to deal with today's incident? Boyu, I'm sorry, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Remember, the power supply will be restored in half an hour. Taking advantage of the darkness in the building, Lin Kunyang actually ran away. Shen Tingxue became furious upon seeing this. Boyu, what kind of friends are these? Chen Boyu was angry, but he couldn't say anything. After all, I had already boasted about it before. I didn't expect Lin Kunyang to end up like this. Tingxue, I didn't expect it would be like this. Otherwise, why don't you give him a call? If it were someone else, I would dare to let Shen Tingxue call me. Shen Tingxue would most likely go berserk. But Xue just couldn't bear to be cruel to Chen Boyu. Is this the power of love? As the phone rang, I looked down and it was indeed Xue. I guessed it a long time ago. The idiot on Chen Boyu's side couldn't withstand my attack. In the end, they had no choice but to ask Xue to come forward and plead with me. However, I answered this call casually. Even if we have to answer, we have to let Xue make more calls. I need to think carefully about how to make them not dare to take action against the company again, while at the same time they can't figure out who is fighting against them tonight. 10 minutes passed. My cell phone rang and rang. Xue has called more than 10 times. At first, Xue would still make a phone call every once in a while. Finally, after he couldn't get through anymore, he kept calling. Finally, when I felt that they had both been tortured enough, I picked up the phone. Pretend like you just woke up. Hey, it's so noisy late at night. Xue doesn't care whether I'm resting or not. Lin Feng. Tell the people in your company to stop. I yawned and pretended to be confused. What happened to my company? Stop? Stop what? Seeing that I looked like I knew nothing, Xue was a little confused for a moment. No. To know if I was lying to her. Don't pretend. I know you are in the company. Stop attacking the Chen group right now. Otherwise, all the losses caused by the Chen group will be blamed on you. The more anxious Xue is, the happier I am. I was sleeping peacefully at home, and you called me without any context, saying all this nonsense. Our company has never attacked other people's software. This is not in line with industry practice. If you don't have evidence, I'll sue you for defamation. Xue seemed to believe that I was not involved in what happened in the evening. Therefore, her attitude quickly softened. Since it wasn't you who did it, please ask the company who was actually behind it. The information in Chen Group's computer is really important. Can you help me? Although Xue's attitude has softened, it is not enough for me to let them go easily. It's so troublesome. I'll go and ask about the situation first. After hanging up the phone, I immediately called Liu Yuchen in. Liu Yuchen also understands me very well and arranged a table full of sumptuous midnight snacks. Chapter 26 Difficult to Recover. Chapter 26 Difficult to Recover. Hey, Yuchen, quickly invite Jiang Cheng and the others out. Based on the principle that happiness is shared with others rather than enjoyed alone, I quickly arranged for Liu Yuchen and a group of close friends to come to my office. After listening to Liu Yuchen's account of what had just happened, everyone couldn't help but applaud. Especially Jiang Cheng. It started that day when I got drunk in the bar. His favorability towards Xue has already dropped to freezing point. Now see, I have dealt with them severely. Jiang Cheng picked up the beer can and said with a smile. Har har, it feels so good, it feels so good. Lao Lin, I told you that you should have taught them a lesson a long time ago. This pair of bastards just don't understand their own strength, and they still dare to challenge you. The others also echoed. Yes, Brother Feng, we are one of the best technology companies in the province. How dare they do something to us? Har har, you don't know that. Some stupid people never have logic in their minds. Brother Feng, if it were me, you should just drag them along. Yes, anyway, we have food and drink, so let them stay up all night while starving. Why not wait until we brothers have eaten and drunk our fill, then it won't be too late to reply. The suggestions from several brothers really touched my heart. This Chen Boyu actually dared to openly challenge my skills. It's obvious that you don't take me seriously. Anyway, there is no way to recover the core files of the Chen group. Why don't I delay a little longer and make them feel uneasy? After a few drinks, I suddenly thought of it. When I sent Wanning home in the evening, Wanning specifically said that she wanted to wait for me to rest together. Thinking of this, I quickly put down my chopsticks. Brothers, let's stop here today. Pack up the food you didn't eat and take it back. Your sister-in-law is still waiting for me at home. I'm afraid she will be worried if I go back late. In the eyes of my brothers, I have always been the representative of a perfect man. Even though my marriage partner changed, I still loved Jiang Wanning very much. My brothers all know my temper and I stick to my word. However, complaints are still inevitable. Hey, people always say that even a hero can't resist a beautiful woman. Brother Feng is the most typical example. Har har, you. You are bachelor, how can you know what a newlywed couple is like? Let's go, let's not delay brother Feng and sister-in-law's business. Yes, Lao Lin, you have to be more supportive. We brothers are all waiting for you to give us a nephew or niece. Seeing that they were getting more and more outrageous, I immediately asked Liu Yuchen to pack them all up and throw them out. After finishing the company's affairs, I realized it was not too late. So I asked the company driver to take me home. Now, Jiang, Wanning and I moved back to the villa area in Jiangbei. It's quieter and safer here at night. I didn't see it until I came downstairs. The bedroom was brightly lit, and Jiang Wanning was obviously waiting for me. For those who return home at night, this bright light is enough to warm their hearts. Before, when I was with Shintingxue, I wish I could work 3 jobs a day. When you get home, it will probably be early morning. But over the years, Shintingxue has never waited for me once. Instead, people are claiming that sleeping late will cause wrinkles. Every time I return home, I can only eat some leftovers. It turns out that the difference between love and not love is really so obvious. Chapter 27 Stay Up All Night. Chapter 27 Stay Up All Night. When I got home and just closed the door, Jiang Wanning ran out in her silk pajamas. She threw herself directly into my arms. I also picked up Jiang Wanning and kissed her forehead. Honey, sorry to have kept you waiting. No, how are the company's affairs going? Have you dealt with them all? Since we are already married, there is no need for me to hide some things from Jiang Wanning. I told Wan Ning what happened in the company tonight. She also sat down on the sofa angrily. They are going too far. It was clearly their fault first. How can you have the nerve to do such a despicable thing to retaliate against us? Jiang Wanning was a little confused. All of this was clearly Shintingxue's own choice. At the beginning, Shintingxue kept saying that she wanted to break up with me. For this reason, Jiang Wanning had advised her many times. But once they turned against each other, Shintingxue simply turned his back on them. When it comes to doing things, there is no bottom line anymore. Hubby, so they are still in Chen group, so anxious. Oh, yes. I have already stopped the program. But at this time, the two of them are already frightened birds. I'm afraid they won't dare to go back and rest easily without my reply. That's easy. Honey, you must be tired after a busy day, right? When I saw Jiang Wanning revealing a cunning look for the first time, I immediately understood what she meant. Yes. Why do we have to solve their problem tonight? Make them anxious all night and suffer a little, then they will know that I am not someone to be trifled with. From now on, if they want to harm me again, they must think carefully about whether they have the ability to do so. Wife, you're right. Come on, let's go back to the house and sleep. I picked up Jiang Wanning like a princess and carried her back to our bedroom. After a night of passion. The next day, I didn't get up until noon again. When I turned on my phone, there were hundreds of missed calls. The time distribution is quite even. It seems that Shintingxue and Chen Boyu did not sleep all night last night. Been waiting for my reply patiently. I think they should be extremely sleepy at this time. At that moment, a phone call from me would be the decisive blow. Thinking of this, I called back without even putting on my clothes. Sure enough, the phone rang for a while before being picked up. The other party's voice was even weaker. It seemed that after a long night, Shintingxue had completely exhausted all of her energy. Now, even if she wanted to be angry, her body couldn't support it. Lin Feng. Where were you last night? You didn't answer the phone, and no one was at the company. Are you deliberately playing a trick on me? Sure enough, even though she had no strength left, Shintingxue was still blaming me when she spoke. You came to see me last night. Oh, there was no need. It's just some documents. I've asked about it. Those things can't be restored. Please make another one. If I were to say, my first sentence was just an ordinary reply. Then, this second sentence was the fatal blow to Shintingxue. Sure enough, after hearing my reply, the sound of a man being awakened was instantly heard on the phone. And the sound of a set of tea sets being smashed, the sound was so crisp and beautiful.